listen-only mode so that we can hear Catherine speak. We do have a spot on the right-hand side to ask questions, and we'll put some time aside at the end of the presentation for questions if you have any. I want to introduce Catherine Smith. She's been with the Campbell Institute since 2012 and currently serves as its program manager. She has a master's degree in biopolitics from Northern Illinois University and earned her advanced safety certificate through the National Safety Council in 2013. Catherine also serves on the National Safety Council's internal environmental health and safety team and also chairs the ergonomics committee. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Catherine and let her present defining EHS excellence.
Well, thank you, and hello to everyone. As my introduction said, my name is Catherine Smith. I'm the program manager for the Campbell Institute at the National Safety Council, and part of my responsibility is I manage the Campbell Award process. I've been with the council for 5 years and have been solely responsible for the Campbell Award for about the last 3 years. I am very excited to get to talk to you all today about the Campbell Award and some of the learnings that we have found from the winners over the past 15 years now. So I'll start out today by actually giving you some background about the award, so you have a little context about what the award is, who is all involved in the process, why we do it, and also then talk about the specific research paper that this presentation is actually based on, and the piece that will actually define what EHS excellence is. There we go. So to start out with the National Safety Council. The National Safety Council presents the Campbell Award. It was founded in 1913 via congressional charter, but we are not a government organization. We are a nonprofit. And our mission is really to eliminate preventable deaths in our lifetime. We know that is definitely a very lofty goal, but like many organizations today, we are committed to zero. We just also have committed to helping other organizations get to zero as well. And by the ways in which that we end up doing this is we look to our over 50,000 members and 5,000 individual volunteers to help accomplish this goal one person at a time, whether it's them themselves or if they're making an impact within their organization. So the council actually has 3 main focus areas that support this mission. It is on the roads, in homes and communities, and at work. Today, and also the Campbell Award itself focuses on the in the workplace kind of portion of what the council does. This nice man here, and I always refer to him as a smiley gentleman. This is Robert W. Campbell. He was actually the first president of the National Safety Council, and it's really considered still today a true visionary of safety. You can see here that he defines safety as the study of the right way to do things. He really understood safety to be a necessity for your business, and also a necessity for everyday life. So this notion is pretty common today, but perhaps back in the times that he actually had this or made these claims, it wasn't so popular. And so I like to take just a minute to kind of put into perspective his true visionary qualities. So this photo here, I'm sure that some of you, maybe most of you, can recognize it. It was actually taken on the 69th floor of the Rockefeller. It's actually the GE building of the Rockefeller Plaza in New York City, and it was during the last month of construction for that building. There is some debate about this photo, however, of whether it was an actual occurrence, like these guys were just sitting up here having lunch, or if it was more of a staged event to try to drum up some excitement about the building being completed. So specifically, though, it was taken on September 20th of 1932. So this is almost 20 years after Mr. Campbell had been quoted to say, safety is important and it's the study of the right way to do things. But if you can imagine now, fast forward another 85 years, so today, almost 100 years from when he had made these claims, they still ring true today. And I always like to put it in perspective for people to say, could you imagine today your organization using a photo like this for a marketing a marketing piece? Most of us would say no, and definitely a lot has changed over the 85 years, but Mr. Campbell's words still ring true. So this is why he was chosen as the namesake for this Campbell Award. And the Campbell Award, it recognizes organizations for their integration of environment, health, and safety into their business operations. So as you can see here, we have a lot of logos on the screen here, and I would like to take some time to explain how these organizations work together to accomplish the Campbell Award. So as I mentioned, the National Safety Council presents the Campbell Award, but it is administered by the Campbell Institute. And the Campbell Institute is the portion of the council that I work for. And the Institute actually grew out of the learnings from the Campbell Award. It became obvious that we had a lot of organizations that had all these best practices, and we wanted to facilitate these best practices, collect these best practices and facilitate the dissemination of this information to other organizations. So that is why the Campbell Institute was created, and actually why I'm talking to you today. The last piece here is ExxonMobil. So ExxonMobil has underwritten the Campbell Award since its inception in 2004, and they continue to support us by kind of loaning their experts during the entire process, the review process for the award. And they truly just make the award possible. So if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to do this. So now that I've kind of shared or kind of explained the shared vision, I want to talk about specifically what the Campbell Award does and the goals that the Campbell Award has. So to first start out with, we want to establish a measurement process. So this is a very functional piece of what we do. We use this measurement process to actually assess all of the applicants for the award, but we want to make sure that also it's applicable for any organization. And we've worked with organizations in the past who have taken the criteria, which is really what I'm talking about when I say measurement process. It's the criteria for the Campbell Award. They've taken this criteria and been able to do self-assessments and really look at, take a look internally. And this is, regardless of them applying to the Campbell Award, as we make this criteria available to the public for organizations to do just that. The second piece here is, of course, to recognize EHS performance and recognize those organizations that, of course, have won the award. So it's really about, celebrating those best practices, but also kind of in conjunction with the next two goals, is to capture the successes within each of those organizations and then foster that sharing of that information. And so as I said here just a little bit ago, the foster of that sharing is really the essence of why the Campbell Institute exists and also why I'm talking to you today. So we give presentations like this one to other organizations, but we're really trying to share the best practices of those Campbell Award winners and in the sense of the Institute, of also the Campbell Institute members. Other ways that we do that, however, is we also create business case studies with each of our winners, and we join up with universities to complete these business case studies, and they're really meant to be like an educational for educational purposes, excuse me. But we also make these available for free, and there are a couple of universities that we have not worked with directly, but have been able to put a course together and build a curriculum around our business case studies. So that's something that we're doing to try to reach the younger generations. And the last thing that we do to foster this sharing is we actually make all of the applications for the Campbell Award available online and for free. So a lot of the information that I'm actually going to talk about today about the specific research that is included in the research paper are pulled directly from the Campbell Award applications. So if at any time you're interested in something I'm talking about, I definitely suggest you kind of going to our website and you could download those applications that that not only will give you the information I'm specifically talking about, but a whole range of information that will cover the whole criteria for the Campbell Award. So at this point, I like to give you a little bit of information about who I'm actually going to talk about. So these 15 organizations that you see here on the screen, they're the past winners of the Campbell Award, and all of them except USG is included in the research paper that I'm going to be talking about. USG is our newest winner, and the paper was simply produced before they had been named the winner. But I am actually going to talk about USG in this presentation, give you a little bit of information, maybe a little teaser for their practices. But like I said, that their information is actually not in the research paper. And with that, I will actually start to talk about the actual research. So to give you a little bit of background about, oops, sorry about that. To give you a little bit of background about the research in general, so this was a collaborative effort between myself and also the research associate here for the Campbell Institute. So we took the best practices from those 14 organizations, and we kind of distilled them down, looking for what are the elements or what are the different pieces of each application that is consistent throughout all of them. And now we've gotten a couple questions when we've done this presentation before about why would all of them not have everything in common? Well, the reason is the criteria has actually kind of evolved over the years, and it continues to evolve every year to make sure that all the criteria is up to date, and we're also asking for the right sort of expectations from an organization. As we help move the needle and help organizations grow, we want to make sure that that Campbell Award criteria is still pushing that envelope. And so, like I said, we've pulled out 5 different elements that are consistent throughout. So here are the 5 different elements. And what I'm going to be doing today is I will go through all 5 of these elements. They have subsections of kind of different specifics that lead into the overall kind of section or topic that I'll be discussing. And also with each of these elements, I'm going to focus on one organization. So I'm only going to be talking about 5 organizations, but as I said in this research paper, you can find information and about all of the different winners of the award. But just for clarity of the explanation, I'm just going to focus on one organization per area here. So to start out with leadership. Leadership is really focusing on the excellence of EHS, and it hinges upon the ability of individuals throughout the organization. I'm not just talking about the CEO, but from the CEO to the frontline employees and everyone in between. And it's expected, every employee is expected to contribute to building and sustaining a culture where EHS is given the same priority as business performance. So we're really talking about, empowering everyone within the organization to lead with EHS. So many of the reviewers through these applications, they place emphasis on the ability of these leaders to express positive influence through words and actions to change people's beliefs and attitudes, and not only just about safety, but also about health and the environment. So we really do focus on EHS throughout this, even this leadership portion. Often this belief and the culture change is, this belief or culture change is brought about through comprehensive leadership training, but also empowering organizations. And so I'll talk about those 2 things here in just a minute. But first of all, throughout this leadership portion, I will be focusing on Dow Chemical. So they won the award in 2010, and just to give you an update, if you guys don't, if you don't know who Dow is, so they are an American multinational chemical corporation headquartered in Michigan. But Dow manufactures plastics and chemicals and agricultural products, and they have presence in about 160 different countries and employ about 54,000 people worldwide. So they're a pretty big organization and chemical in nature. Excuse me, I'm going to get a drink real quick. So the first element here of this area is CEO commitment. So regardless of the corporate structure, EHS responsibilities, they have to reside within the highest level of the organization and each level within that organization. Campbell Award winners typically designate the chairman or the CEO or someone within the C-suite executive to be accountable for EHS. So at Dow Chemical, leaders are expected to take an active role in the implementation of safety systems. Dow's leadership expectations, Dow's leadership expectations global policy requires that all leaders take a visible and leading role. And they need to take this leading role in establishing a management system that promotes business success, including EHS. Leaders are expected to take an active role in safety meetings and participate in plant behavioral-based observations programs. This visible participation in the safety program usually highlights the importance of EHS for all of the employees and really makes it top of mind at all times throughout the organization. And this is very similar, I will note as well, all of these examples I'll be talking about are very similar across all of the Campbell Award winners, of course. So the next element here within leadership is training. So successful implementation of EHS programs and initiatives, they really depend on having competent managers to translate the CEO's vision and corporate mission into their everyday work and their actions every day. Typically Campbell Award winners invest a great deal of effort and resources into providing managers and supervisors with these skills to not only perform their duties, but also to make EHS important in anything that they do. Additionally, the Campbell Award winners, they implement training programs for leaders, as I mentioned, but also from the C-suite level to the EHS professional level and also to the line worker. And those trainings typically are structured in a way that makes sense for whatever level of employee is taking that training. So training at Dow, Dow EHS experts have specialized training. They're generally certified in the areas of expertise, as I mentioned. And they form internal expertise centers that are specific to their jobs. For instance, a couple that they have are industrial hygiene, personal safety, process safety, health safety, and environmental technology. Dow also incorporates their leadership training for those, for all of those in necessary positions. So if they do not have do not have a specific focus of what I've mentioned, they still will give a more general training for that employee. The next section here is performance plans. So Campbell Award winners, among all of the winners, the EHS responsibilities and metrics are integrated into the performance reviews for managers and supervisors at a bare minimum. And this really further identifies EHS as a core business driver, along with the production and the profit. So it really is about integrating it into the performance of the employee. So at Dow, again, all employees and senior executives are required to include a personal EHS goal in their performance plans and metrics. Personal goals are not set against specific injury or illness targeted numbers, so it's not about your lagging data. Instead, personal goals are tracked against items that have been identified as antecedents to injuries, so it's the potential, such as safety observations, hazard assessment cards, or other similarly safety-related items. And I'm sure that a lot of you have things like near misses and whatnot in your organization that you do track. Leaders are usually held to a higher standard within Dow, and their personal performance as well as their work group's EHS performance is a key factor in the determination of compensation, promotions, and job assessments. Poor work group safety performance has led to the reassignment and even termination of leaders in some cases. So just based on that, the fact that you can be terminated for not hitting your safety goal, it sends a very distinct message from Dow as far as their level of attention that is paid to safety. And then the last section within leadership is employee empowerment. So empowering workers to take control of the EHS aspects of their job is really critical to building and sustaining a culture within your organization. This is most often done through stop work policies and employee perception surveys, and I'm sure a lot of you do as well. Worker empowerment is strongly embraced by all the organizations, but especially in Dow. And so the last example here of Dow is that excellent EHS performance requires the commitment of empowerment of all employees within Dow. Dow has a comprehensive empowerment process to drive and assess the progress towards the goal of full employee engagement in plant management. The goal of all operating facilities to achieve at least, quote, a stage 2. So to kind of unpack that a little bit more, that's part of their assessment is they have different defined stages, and it's somewhat it has become somewhat competitive within the organization for each of the facilities to reach the highest stage. They've almost, in a sense, gamified this process of employee empowerment. But Dow facilities they use integrated safety teams, including members of operations and EHS and leadership, to drive those programs within each facility. So that's really the tool that they use to get each facility to a higher stage. And these safety teams, they meet routinely, as I'm sure that in your experience you've seen that. But they're goal-oriented. They determine solutions to different problems that come up, and they track the implementation. So that's kind of another key metric that they use for this employee empowerment. So that brings you to the end of leadership. And so I'll turn now to the second area of excellence, which is integration. During this section, I will actually be focusing on our 2013 winner, which is DuPont. DuPont is an American conglomerate that was founded in July of 1802 as a gunpowder mill. But more recently, in the 20th century, and 21st, I guess, DuPont is considered a chemical conglomerate that focuses on developing many polymers such as neoprene and nylon and even Teflon. And it's just an interesting fact about the last two, about Dow and now DuPont that I'll be talking about. So in 2005, Dow announced that they would merge with DuPont, and the new company would be Dow DuPont, and then it would be split into 3 separate public companies, one focusing on agriculture, one on chemical, and then one on specialty products. So that's just a note that, interesting enough, they have both won the Campbell Award separately, and now they're kind of coming together to kind of recreate their business profile. So unfortunately, in the future, they're not going to be 2 specific different companies, but kind of be that conglomerate themselves. But for these purposes, we're still going to talk about them separately, as they, at the time, when applying, were 2 different companies. So to start here with integration, organizations that have successfully utilized a system-based approach to EHS management have adopted and adapted industry standards and international guidelines to integrate EHS across all business functions and structures. So it's really talking about it is actually absorbed into the operations, into the business practices. Evidence of well-integrated EHS management systems is actually the section of criteria for the Campbell Award. And as I mentioned, the Campbell Award is really given to the organization who integrates EHS into their business operations. So this area of excellence here is really about that integration. It's fully ingrained in what the award is actually about. The first section here of integration is audit programs. So any formal EHS management system will become a liability if its design does not include audit programs. That's kind of a belief that we have here at the Campbell Award. And most of these Campbell Award winners would agree and do have practices that seek third-party verification for their integrated management system. As I said here, I will focus on DuPont. At DuPont, auditing is fundamentally important to both business and EHS excellence. It provides leadership with accountable current data on the organizational climate. It also involves the entire organization and creates communication opportunities. So they're really using this audit tool as kind of a tool of communication itself. DuPont's first-party audits, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I will also mention that DuPont has a robust audit program that factors in a first-party, a second-party, and a third-party audit. So I will talk about, I think, each of these audits kind of within this section here. But the first-party audit standard provides requirements and guidance for conducting a structured EHS audit at a facility level. So this is when they're talking about first-party audit, they're really talking about their self-assessments. The first-party audit program involves leadership taking an active role in developing and implementing the program. Auditors are trained to ensure that an established process is in place to provide feedback and mentoring. So as you can see here, and kind of throughout some of these examples, I'll explain the different sections of their audit program as well, as they do. All levels of their audit program have kind of a specific use for them. The second element here that I'll talk about is EHS and business integration. A significant accomplishment shared by all of the Campbell Award winners is the extent to which they have integrated EHS into their business structure and their operations. This includes everything from the business strategy development to the actual metrics tracking and reporting. So at Dow, EHS, of course, is well integrated into their business and at multiple levels of their business. The DuPont sponsors team actively collaborates to set EHS direction, strategy, and budget. The EHS extended leadership team actively collaborates and facilitates EHS planning and has a responsibility for providing necessary support and leadership to line management. And then they also have an EHS review board that utilizes a broad cross-section of voice of customer members to ensure all business and functions are well connected. So the kind of the theory, the methodology that that DuPont has taken through this integration is kind of creating these subgroups that all have a specific goal and responsibility to promote this integration. The next section here is anticipation of challenges. So many organizations, especially ones that operate worldwide, need to be well integrated with emerging markets, and also taking into consideration all the barriers that would happen, or that they may come across throughout the world, such as language or cultural differences, political instability even, corruption and transparency in some organization or in some places of the world. Also, poverty and disease and human right violation. These are all things that that have been identified by our Campbell Award winners as barriers to the integration of their EHS management system. Campbell Award winners actively recognize these barriers, though, and they try to incorporate the solutions to address these challenges actually into their operating system, or I'm sorry, their management system. So DuPont's auditing process, as I was talking about before, they include, they have the first, second, and third party assessments. The second party, I'm sorry, yeah, the second party audits, they're actually led by independent auditors, typically from other sites within their organization, and they use these to provide an objective assessment, but also to specifically address these challenges, as they will typically have these audits done by other sites with similar barriers that have been defined. So it's just one way that DuPont really focuses on how to overcome these challenges. They anticipate it within their overall structure of their audit programs, and that is how they have defined how to actually tackle these challenges. And the last section here for integration is consideration of contracted workforce. So integrating the EHS performance of contractors or suppliers or vendors into the EHS management system is key for all of our Campbell Award winners. For DuPont, each site has written procedures and practices to minimize risk for DuPont for their contracted employees from potential injury and illnesses, and prevent, of course, environmental harm and property damages and things like that. But their focus is really on the potential of these injuries and the prevention of these injuries before they take place. Contractors are not used for jobs in DuPont. Employees that DuPont employees would not be assigned to, for a very simple reason that DuPont has decided to take on the risk themselves. A lot of organizations will contract a workforce for a particularly risky job, but in DuPont's case, they will not use a contractor for a job that a DuPont worker would. If they wouldn't subject their own employee to it, they would not subject a contractor to it either. But DuPont does have a 6-step contractor safety management process. And this process really provides the methodology for managing risk associated with each of the jobs the contractor is doing. And the steps include pre-qualification, preparation, contact award, orientation and training, and then work coordination and auditing and evaluation. So there's the kind of the post-job evaluation as well. The third section, the third area of excellence is data management. So for data management, we're going to be focusing on Honeywell Aerospace. They actually won the award in 2015, and they manufacture aircraft engines and avionics, which is essentially just aircraft-related items, as well as auxiliary power units and other sorts of aviation products. It is a vision, of course, of Honeywell, the conglomerate, but it is an independent business unit, so it is not fully supported by Honeywell, although they do share practices amongst the different business units. So data management, organizations with world-class EHS records rely on a combination of leading and lagging indicators to promote continuous improvement activities. When we threw out the criteria, we really look for this complementary use of leading and lagging indicators, but of course with an emphasis on the importance of the quality of the indicator as well as the prevention aspects of that indicator. In order to positively affect the EHS management system, however, the collection of this data, of course, is and the accuracy of this data is extremely important, as it could eliminate the meaningfulness of the data that is actually collected. So the first section here in data management is sustainability. For most Campbell Award winners, I will actually mention here before I get into it, the Institute has a lot of research projects that we do, and one of the projects is specifically about sustainability. So I'm going to talk about, Honeywell Aerospace specifically, about their award application. But if you're interested in sustainability as a whole, I do encourage you to go to our website, which I'll have all of the links at the end of the presentation, but you can download the research paper on sustainability. But the reason that we focus on sustainability for its own research paper is because Campbell Award winners and also our Campbell Institute members, they strive for continuous improvement in sustainability as well as safety. They utilize their environment, health, and management system to and their performance indicators as well to set and achieve sustainability goals. So Honeywell Aerospace's product stewardship new product introduction process, which that is a mouthful, but this process, it requires the organization to consider eco-friendly criteria throughout the product life during the new production of the development. So what they're really looking at is kind of the product life cycle. So I know that there is some pretty famous, a famous book is the concept of cradle to cradle. So what do you make the product out of? What do you use it for? And then what do you use that end product at the end of its life? How is it dealt with? Is it recyclable? Or is it just going to go to the landfill? Another example of Honeywell Aerospace's stewardship aims to reduce the environmental footprint of in general of the organization. They actually hold an annual event every October called Aerospace Energy Week, and multiple sites across the globe participate in this week. And they look at different topics related to sustainability or energy consumption and recycling. During this week, they create training materials, posters, and videos, and also like instructor notes for teaching classes to help everyone in the aerospace industry kind of become more sustainably friendly, and again, kind of move that needle and not just make their organization more successful, but also the industry as a whole. The next section here is identifying risks. So many Campbell Award winners proactively identify and study areas that will allow for more effective EHS programs and associated metrics that reduce EHS risk. So at Honeywell Aerospace, they developed several processes to identify risk in their operations and productions. This includes phase gate risk assessments, process hazard analysis, and exposure assessments and monitoring programs. So these processes are used by Honeywell Aerospace to determine whether they have or could potentially have a significant impact on the environment, their employee health and safety, or the community in which they operate. Action plans to address the significant risk identified are developed as part of the Honeywell Aerospace business planning process, and many include actions such as strategic initiatives or inclusion of EHS performance metrics and focused audits. And then the last section here of this data management is of course leading and lagging indicators, or sorry, metrics. So the leading and lagging indicators are always very important to our Campbell Award winning organizations. They use these to assess the quality and impact of their EHS management system. And leading indicators are used because, of course, they're the powerful predictiveness of them, and why we typically like to see our award-winning organizations really focus on the leading aspect of these organizations, or I'm sorry, of these metrics. Also, I will note here that we actually have three different. The Institute has three different. Three different research papers on leading indicators. So if you're interested in that, again, I would send you to the website to to check out those. But back to Honeywell Aerospace, and specifically their leading and lagging indicators. They really they employ a balanced scorecard of both of these indicators, so they see the importance of both. But this is referred to as their EHS Performance Index, and it's designed to advance maturity in EHS, maintain workplace safety, and, of course, sustain the environment. Year to year, the mix of indicators is actually evaluated and assessed and changed depending on their evaluation. This performance index includes several different specific leading indicators, and all of those are actually listed in their application. So if you're specifically interested in what they track, I don't want to give you the list here over webinar, but I definitely encourage you to look at that, as they have probably one of the best leading indicator programs that I have actually that I have had experience with. So then moving on to the fourth section here, we're going to focus on Cummins. Cummins Inc. Was the winner in 2014. They're a Fortune 500 company that designs, manufactures, and distributes engines, filtrations, and power generation products. Cummins also services engines and related equipment, including fueling systems, controls, air handling, filtration, lots of different things that are related to their engines and how they function. So Cummins, I know Cummins very well. They're very active in our Campbell Institute as well, and I will say that this is overall, like I said, I'm going to focus on the alignment within their organization, but overall this is one of the best applications that we have received. So I definitely encourage you to check out their entire application. But alignment, regardless of the complexities of running a successful business, our award winners, they ensure that EHS remains firmly aligned with their operations, and also the strategies and values of their operations. Linking EHS goals to other organizational objectives, including their operations, is really a function of their business process. In short, the complementary nature between EHS and their business performance should ultimately result in improvements in their productivity and their quality. So so the organization, the alignment is important, so their organization understands how safety, environment, and health and productivity and quality, how they all work hand in hand. So the first section here is on business management. Campbell Award winners utilize successful business management strategies in order to improve their EHS management systems. These strategies can include recognition or rewards for achievements, for strategic planning, for utilization of business efficiency, to really improve their safety results. So at Cummins, they operate in a highly competitive business-to-business environment. To succeed in this environment, Cummins depends on the ingenuity of their employees. Their skills and dedication have helped the company safely produce the cleanest, most fuel-efficient engines and power generation equipment in the world. So the very important thing about this is they look to their employees to help them. And typically, that employee, the one that is on the line, like doing the job, is usually the ones that that know the best how to do the job. And Cummins really does use their knowledge about the process and what they're doing to really support the business management strategies. It is fully ingrained within their strategy for their management system to be aligned. The second section here is the review of acquisitions. So an evaluation of potential safety and health liabilities is a critical component of what these organizations do. And I will say that most of our Campbell Award winners are large organizations that have at some point had to chosen to acquire a different business. And so it's really about how the organization looks at that as an issue and how they tackle it. So, sorry, I'm getting a drink. So the EHS review of acquisitions for Cummins, they announced their plan to acquire 100% ownership of a joint venture several years before the venture will actually happen. And that's very important for them to not only make it publicly known, but also to inform all of the employees within the organization, within actually both organizations. Cummins sees the strong advantage of taking ownership before before the actual merger happens or the acquisition happens. In the past, Cummins has brought in 15 independent businesses, all of them being major undertakings, and to ensure a safe and smooth transition of employees and customers and stakeholders, Cummins created a fully dedicated team to focus on the integration of this network. This integration typically requires careful coordination, of course, for the entire company, and for both companies to ensure that EHS, the standards of EHS are well understood before the acquisition is complete. The next section is cost-benefit analysis. So cost-benefit analysis is an important business decision-making tool, and it includes a process of calculating and comparing the benefits and costs of the project. So Campbell Award winners, they use this cost-benefit analysis in making EHS decisions, but they also are conducted in a way to include both hard and soft costs, and place an emphasis on worker health and safety and innovation. So it's not just that dollar amount, but it's also what is the cost to our employees' safety. So for Cummins, Cummins has codified the business case for EHS initiatives for senior management by measuring the return on investment and outcomes. While the rise with the rising cost of healthcare burdening many employees over the last several years, Cummins recognized this as an opportunity and created a health plan for all of their employees at a lower rate. They actually the new plan for Cummins, it is about $2,500 per employee less than any other typical Fortune 500 benchmark. This indicates to us that Cummins and its employees are experiencing, of course, better health, but also really looking at that softer side of the cost-benefit analysis of this program, where the focus is really on the employee and not just the bottom dollar. And the last section here is on operational readiness. So for an organization in the face of sometimes unexpected events such as like natural disasters, an organization's business performance is often determined by its ability to rely on EHS. So for Cummins, Cummins has established a crisis action management program in partnership with a third-party supplier, and this crisis action management program, its acronym is CAMP. So their camp team monitors and develops regional briefings that identify geopolitical instabilities or terrorist, crime, natural disasters, all the different elements. And then so it really provides a mechanism of rapid communication about these situations, and really it really emphasizes their operational readiness within the organization. So the last piece here is corporate citizenship, and for this I'm going to be focusing on USG, the most recent winner of the Campbell Award. So if you don't know, USG stands for United States Gypsum. So they're the largest producer and distributor of wallboard, and I'm sure some of you are pretty familiar with their sheetrock brand. So corporate citizenship, in addition to striving for EHS excellence on the job, world-class organizations extend their efforts to promote health and safety to their employees off the job as well. The first element of this section is corporate sponsorship. So many of our Campbell Award organizations contribute to community programs through corporate sponsorships. So for USG, the people who make up their international workforce come from several different, come from several different backgrounds from all over the world. So having a diverse and an inclusive workplace is critical to USG ability to attract and retain the talent itself. And also, of course, to be more competitive within this corporate sponsorship. The employee contributions section of this, USG, to back up, the employee contributions are pretty self-explanatory. So it's how much an employee contributes back to the community or other kind of other sponsorship or citizenship activities. But at USG, they actually have a matching gift program where USG matches the qualifying cash contributions by for each employee, and they match it 50 cents on the dollar, and actually last year that equaled out to be about $100,000 of matching contributions. The next section here is community outreach. So again, by applying organizational-wide principles to community outreach, the winners can address local EHS issues as well. So kind of bring their expertise to the community. So USG, as a very specific example, in Cartersville, Georgia, they teamed up with the Georgia Highlands College students to build a community garden, and then all of that, the food in the community garden, was given to shelters in the area. The next section is holistic well-being. Excuse me. So similar to their holistic approach to the corporate citizenship that we're talking about, award winners, they realize the responsibility that they really have to go beyond the workplace and usher a holistic well-being program for all of their employees. USG does just that. They have a wellness program. Sorry, excuse me. And they incentivize all of their employees to participate in this wellness program as well as their families. Excuse me. And then the last section here is employee recognition. So having an employee recognition program, it goes a long way in reinforcing the importance of off-the-job safety in the minds of employees. And for USG, they actually have a Helping Hands program. And this recognizes employees who volunteer their time for a variety of different causes. And then they sponsor these employees to continue to do their work. And actually last year, it totaled over $20,000 that USG had sponsored their employees to do this work. I am so sorry. But that actually brings me to the end of the presentation. As you can see here, there's a lot of information that I gave you, and I definitely encourage you to not only read the paper but also read some of the applications, and it'll give you a much better look at any organization as a whole. I have here my contact information, as well as the website where you can download all the research papers, and of course the Campbell Award site where you can find all of the applications. So that, if there are any questions, I will attempt to answer them between coughing.
Well, I actually think you're off the hook, Catherine. There are no questions here on the site. So I think with that we can probably thank everybody for their attention and end the session.
Okay, well, thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity, and hope to talk to you soon.